So, Rahul, you want to understand about this universal form, correct? Then you shall have it. So this 11th chapter of the Bhagavad-gītā, first we have to understand the context. In the 10th chapter, Krishna explained to Arjuna the 4 nutshell verses of the Bhagavad-gītā. Do you know what those 4 nutshell verses of Bhagavad-gītā are? It starts with Aham sarvasya prabhava mattak sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. That means that Krishna says, I am the source of everything. Everything material and spiritual comes from me. Then in the next verses of those 4, there are 4 verses that are called the nutshell verses of the Bhagavad-gītā. Krishna explains how the devotees are always talking about him, always enlightening one another and encouraging one another in their Krishna consciousness. Then, in the next verse, Krishna says that for my pure devotee, I give that devotee the requisite intelligence how to come to me. Okay? And then in the final of the 4 nutshell verses, Krishna says, I am compassionate towards my devotees. And what do? I destroy the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of knowledge. So those are the 4 nutshell verses of the Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 10, verses 8, 9, 10, and 11. After hearing those 4 nutshell verses, Arjuna says, now I accept you as supreme. You are the supreme absolute truth. You are the supreme abode. You are everything. You are the supreme. And Arjuna says, and it's not just that I think like that. Great, great sages, and he names them, Asita, Devala, and of course, Vyasa. Vyasadeva is the topmost authority. If Vyasadeva says something, confirmed. Why? Because he is the writer of all the Vedic literatures that Hindus study. It all's from Vyasadeva. Mahabharata, Puranas, Vedas, Itihasas, everything is from Vyasadeva. Srimad Bhagavatam, everything. Yes? Yes. Why do we know that? Because Krishna says so. Krishna says in chapter 15, Vaidaischa sarvair aham eva vedyo Vedanta krid. Krishna says, I compiled the Vedanta, but it was Vyasadeva. So that means Krishna's incarnation is Vyasadeva. And he's also known as Bhagavan Rishi. That's one of his titles. He's the incarnation of God in the form of a Rishi. Just like Srimad Bhagavatam is the form of God in book, or Bhagavad-gītā as well, right? Bhagavad-gītā spoken by God. So after Arjuna accepted Krishna as God, then Krishna explains to Arjuna 81 vibhutis, special opulences, how he can be understood in terms of the material world. So and then at the end of the 10th chapter, Krishna says, Arjuna, what is the need for all this detailed? Just understand one thing. With the single fragment of myself, I pervade everything, meaning super soul, Paramatma. Do you know what is super soul? Do you accept that Krishna is in your heart? You are already advanced. Hare Krishna, come. So Krishna says, just with my single fragment, I am all pervasive here in this world. All pervasive. Dwarkadish, you can sit here. Sit here. So now, after hearing that, in chapter 11, Rahul, this class is for you. After chapter 10, then Arjuna says to Krishna, you have explained all this, but I want to actually see it. I want to see how you are all pervading in this universe. I want to see that. So Krishna says, oh, you want to see that? All right. But you cannot see as you are. You can't see. I have to give you the eyes by which to see. Just like in the same way, in the Brahma Samhita, how can one see God? Not with these eyes. What kind of eyes? Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena. The eyes, okay, there's a disease called cataracts. Very painful. Hopefully you'll never get. And in olden days, before they had lasers and things, the treatment for cataracts, they would give some ointment to reduce the pain, because it's very painful, cataracts. People have told me, I met people over the years, cataracts, very painful. So, you have to, everybody now in the material world has cataracts that prevents them from seeing God. What are those cataracts? Lust, anger, greed. That prevents people from seeing God. You can't be lusty and expect, okay, God, show me yourself. You have to become free from lust, anger, and greed. Then you can perhaps ask God, reveal yourself. So this verse of Brahma Samhita, when your eyes are smeared with the ointment, anjana, right? But what kind of ointment? Prema anjana, the ointment of love of God. And your name, Krishna Prema. What kind of love? How do we get love of God? How does Lord Chaitanya give everybody love of God in this day and age? How does he do it? Yes, that's why he gave the Mahamantra. By chanting Mahamantra, you develop love of God. So your eyes have to be smeared, then you can see Krishna. Where? In your heart of hearts. Deep. All right. Arjuna wants to see the universal form. Krishna says, I'm going to give you the eyes. So why did Krishna agree to show this to Arjuna? Bhaktosi, Saka. The whole reason why Krishna is even explaining Bhagavad-gītā, he said, I'm doing this because you're my devotee and my friend. He's not going to do it with Duryodhana. He's not interested. When Krishna went to Duryodhana and to Dhritarashtra and said, there's no need to fight. Krishna said, I have come on a peace. My peace proposal is, give the Pandavas their kingdom. Simple. Give the Pandavas their kingdom, their half. Give them their half, no war. Krishna left. Simple. But Duryodhana said no. Not only will I not give him half, how much he will not give. Yes, even the amount of land on a needle. So Krishna is not going to explain Bhagavad-gītā to Duryodhana. No, sir. He's not a devotee, and he's not a friend of Krishna. No. And I think Krishna didn't eat at his house. I think, if I remember correctly, Duryodhana had prepared nice feast, and he wanted Krishna to stay there. Krishna, no. Yes, he went to the Sudra's house, Vidura. Why? Because Duryodhana is not a devotee. Bhakto Sime, and he's definitely not Krishna's friend, because when Krishna was staying there, he and his brothers made a plan. All right, we'll kidnap Krishna, and this way we'll force the Pandavas. They actually wanted to kidnap Krishna. Cannot capture Krishna like that. And Krishna also showed Duryodhana a universal form. Not this one, but he did show him. And he showed everybody his universal form. And Dhritarashtra and everybody was freaking out. They thought it was the end of the world. So Krishna agrees to show Arjuna. So what did Arjuna see when Krishna showed the universal form? Let's explain. He saw thousands of heads, thousands of arms, thousands of mouths, thousands of bellies. He saw all these different colors and lights. He saw so much very wondrous display, and he was like completely bewildered. Was very, like we say, awesome. Like you see that bumper sticker, God is awesome. Have you seen those bumpers? That's true. God is awesome, especially the universal form. And Arjuna also see that in the mouths of the universal form, all the soldiers were being smashed in the teeth of the universal form. They were all being smashed, chewed up. And Arjuna also saw his soldiers, not just Duryodhana, also his soldiers. So Arjuna, after describing the universal form and praying, Arjuna says, "Who are you? What is your intention? What is your mission?" And the universal form speaks. Now, Krishna is on the chariot with Arjuna, but Krishna is displaying the universal form. That's Krishna. He can still be on the chariot and at the same time display the universal form. So, the universal form speaks. He says, "When am I? Time." And what is time's business? Destroy, kill. What is time doing? Okay, how old are you? 13. Your 5-year-old body? Gone. Now, you're 13. I'm 63. I used to be 13. So I understand about this time. Now you're young. You have energy. Life is exciting. But wait till you turn 50. When you turn 50, it's a little harder now. And you look in the mirror and you go, wrinkles. And for women, what's the ultimate curse? Gray hair. Henna, henna, henna. Bring the henna. They don't want to see that gray hair. And when they do the henna, it stinks up the whole house. My wife does. I always up. They cannot stand to see that gray hair. So you're also going to become old. Move aside no, you're fine. But you move in the middle so I see you. No, you're fine. You don't move. He moves. There you go. I have to see you, otherwise I can't preach. You're my muse, inspiration. So time is gradually dwindling, taking everything away. Not now, you're young. You're on the upswing. But then there's going to come a point down. As we say, it's all downhill after that. As you get older. And then you see the young people and you go, oh man. But not Dhruva. Dhruva was young for 36,000 years. Just like you have nice, fresh senses right now. Dhruva had youthful senses like you 36,000 years. But our senses, right? Need glasses. Some of us need a cane. Some of us need 20 pills. Right? Some of us to get up in the morning. That's old age. Time is destroying. But then the universal form said to Arjuna, Arjuna, all the people on this battlefield are being destroyed. Except for you 5 Pandavas, nobody's going home at the end of this battle. I am destroying everyone. Whether you fight or not, they're done. Now the key line, Nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Everybody say, Nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Savyasachin is a name for Arjuna. It means he's very expert at shooting arrows. He can shoot with both hands. Pretty good, huh? He can shoot this way. He can shoot like sometimes athletes. They can shoot the ball both, or they have switch hitters. That means very special. All right, so Arjuna was the best. He was the best. He had all those weapons that he got when he went to the heavenly planets. Got Lord Shiva's weapon, so many. He got a weapon from his father. Yes, when he went to the heavenly planets for that time. That's when he got all these weapons that nobody else has. Huh? He has secret weapons. So he's the best. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, I simply want you to be my instrument. You were playing the piano before. The piano only does what you tell it to do. It's not that the piano plays independently. You're not going like this, hey, piano, what are you doing? The piano does exactly how you dictate and not otherwise. A devotee like Arjuna, pure devotee, takes his free will and says to Krishna, now do with me as you like. I am your instrument. Prabhupada wrote a poem when he came to America. I am your puppet. You are the master. Now make me dance. Have you ever seen a marionette that has strings and the marionette guy moves his finger and the puppet is dancing and moving its arms? Do they have that in India? They have that. Okay? So the puppet master moves his finger and the puppet is moving very nicely. So the devotee wants to be Krishna's puppet in his hands. Krishna, as you like, make me dance. I'm your puppet. Voluntarily, the devotee asks for that facility. You make me a puppet. So Krishna is saying, I want you to be my instrument. Now go, fight this battle. Because in the beginning of Bhagavad-gītā, Arjuna didn't want to fight. He even dropped his bow and said, I'm not going to fight. So the whole Bhagavad-gītā is simply to convince Arjuna to fight. This universal form also is to convince Arjuna, hey, this is the outcome. I'm giving you a preview, like you go to the movies and they show you the preview of the movie next, right? So this universal form, Krishna is showing Arjuna the preview. Here it is. Here's what's going to happen within the next 18 days. Now all you have to do is take the credit. That's all. Take the credit. It's there for you. Go for it. Take it. So after the universal form explains, then Arjuna offers correct prayers to the universal form, glorifies the universal form. But after some time, Arjuna says, you know what? Now that I'm seeing this universal form, and now that I understand, Krishna, how great you are, my God, I took you for granted. I might have committed an offense, because Arjuna and Krishna, very equal friends. They did many things together. So Arjuna is saying, oh, maybe I might have done something improper because I didn't understand who you really are. I took you, they have an expression, familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes husband and wives have that problem. They become too familiar with each other. You have to be very careful. Be very, very careful not to. And also the disciple with his guru. If the disciple has a lot of direct contact with the spiritual master, he can also become too familiar and commit an offense and start to see the spiritual master in a mundane way. So that's why the Shastras say the deity and the spiritual master, don't get too close. Don't get too familiar, because you might commit offense. So you have to be careful in dealing with the deity, in dealing with the spiritual master. There should always be that respect, awe and veneration. Never forgetting, right? So Arjuna said, please forgive me if I have inadvertently offended you, Krishna. Please forgive me. And then Arjuna says, I've seen enough. This universal form has made me full of awe and wonder, and it's also made me frightful and fearful. I don't want to see anymore. I've seen enough. I want to see you now, Krishna, in your four-armed form. Narayan. Everybody say. I want to see that form. That Narayan form has the four weapons. What are the four weapons? Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. And for those in English, a disc, the club, the conch shell, and the lotus. Two are for devotees. Which two are for the devotees? The flower and the conch shell. Good. And which two are for the demons? Discus and club. Krishna's club is called Kamaudaki. The disc is called Sudarshan. All right. So Krishna says, okay, Arjuna, I've shown you my universal form. I was happy to do so. All right, I'll take it away. And then Krishna showed him his four-armed Narayan form. And then Krishna went back to his original real form, two-handed, Saumya Vapu, the beautiful form. Of all the forms of Godhead, the Krishna form, two-handed, that is the most beautiful of all the forms of God. And Arjuna was very happy. And then, at the end of the chapter, Krishna says to Arjuna, Arjuna, you are able to see me as I am in my real two-armed form. Why? Because the only way you can see this is not by austerities, not by vows, not by going to holy places or studying the Vedas. Only one who has unalloyed devotion, pure devotion to me, that is the person who can see me as I am standing before you. So what's the real qualification to be able to see God? It is only love, nothing else. No material qualification can get you that beautiful vision of Krishna. Only thing is pure love for God. And Lord Chaitanya is teaching that love of God, you can get it. It's yours. You simply have to chant. Everybody? Does that satisfy you? You are happy with that? Very good. Krishna,